Hello everyone, welcome to Why You Wouldn't Survive the Dark Ages. Life in the Dark Ages was dangerous, like pushing out a suspicious fart. It was risky. When the Roman Empire collapsed like a biscuit dipped in a cup of tea for too long, the government aspect went with it. For centuries, the lands of Europe were now run by feudal lords.
Try the bananas, darling.
Feudal lord sounds like an Xbox gamer tag for a clan that specialises in playing instruments with the butt pipes. These lords would exploit the peasants on the land, rinsing them and using them to wage wars with other lords, like it's some sort of realistic Clash of Clans simulator. With up to 75% of the population being peasants through the Dark Ages, the peasant was bound to the land of the lord forever. Like a Discord mod and his kittens that would inhale each other's farts, peasants would dedicate their lives slaving away on the land in hopes of growing enough crops to feed the families and trade the crops to renew the tools. It's almost like a Minecraft server, but the admin's just an angry dickhead who abuses everyone. The peasants were also forced to work on church land for free, whilst being taxed by the church and the lord of the land they lived on. The peasants were being used and abused like a roll of toilet paper when a hippo lets loose from his fat pasty ass. So if you were born in the Dark Ages, you had a strong chance you would have been a peasant, and you'd likely not make it past the age of 5, as 1 in 3 children died before this age in medieval England. Most deaths were related to war, famine, disease, or straight up at spawn point. A lot of deaths occurred from childbirth. So with death around every corner like it's a game of medieval temple run, once children reached the age of 10, their life expectancy would go to somewhere around 32 years old. Today in England we have Mackie D's, Burger King, KFC.
Who wants a fucking burger?
So many options to get your fat little grubby fingers on. But in the Dark Ages, a peasant's main diet was a mixture of many things like bread, cereal, but not the Warburton's fresh bread and Weetabix like today. More like a stale, sweaty, spunk-filled mattress with a lumpy, gloopy, sweaty substance. The most common meat for a peasant was beef, as the nobility thought it was too scruffy to eat beef, so many poorer households would keep livestock such as a cow that would be braided all over and scranned once it was too old for milking. All parts of the cow was used, of course, nothing would go to waste. On the other hand, the wealthier people would eat strange dishes like hedgehogs that would usually be in some form of liquid like the popular camoline sauce, made from bread, wine and spices. For peasants, hunting animals was an option, but not without a big fat risk. The forest lands were often owned by the local nobles, so if you were caught hunting animals like deer or wild boar, you'd face a harsh punishment depending on what it was. It could be the death penalty. So most families in the Dark Ages would keep animals in the home like chickens, cows and sheep to provide eggs, wool and dairy products. They were often kept inside the home, of course, to stop people from stealing them, but this also meant that it absolutely reeked. Imagine the smell, animal poo everywhere, no one's had a bath, no one's brushed their teeth, it fucking stinks. For comfort, a peasant's bed was a straw-filled mattress that would attract all sorts of bugs and vermin such as rats and mice. With no plumbing, human waste was collected into buckets and thrown into the street or taken to the nearest body of water. This water would also be used for washing and cooking, so as you can imagine, disease spreads like wildfire. With no antibiotics or modern medicine to take care of your illness, nobody knew there was a whole microscopic world of bacteria and viruses yet. They often thought a bad smell could make it unwell. Doctors would rely on piss tests and bloodletting to diagnose your sickness. Bloodletting was used to balance the humours, supposedly letting out the bad blood from your body. Leeches were used, or they would just make an incision on your arm and watch blood piss everywhere. Punishment for crimes in the Dark Ages was often influenced by the feudal or church law. For crimes such as petty theft, you would be punished with fines, mutilation, or just taking a good old-fashioned beating. Reoccurring theft would almost always end up with an instant death sentence. For theft of larger sums, this would also almost always lead to an instant death sentence. Public executions were used as a means to install fear across the peasant population. For crimes such as murder, depending on who you murdered, as a noble would only get his bum tickled, but a peasant would receive a large amount of cock and ball torture. Punishment for these crimes often included hanging, beheading, burning, stoning, or the rack. No CCTV and forensic scientists who can detect fart particles from miles away. You could literally get away with murder. In total, throughout the Dark Ages, there was a total of 370 wars across many empires, with the last one finishing in 1504. Just like today, it's the commoners who suffered, but back then it was mostly because of the feudal system. People were forced to fight, peasants had to do their duty for their lords with no questions asked. So that's it for today, and that's just the tip of the iceberg on why you wouldn't survive the Dark Ages. Thank you everyone so much for watching, I appreciate your time. If you could leave a like and subscribe, that would also make me splooge. And I'll see you motherfuckers in the next video.